Good afternoon. Today is February 4th, 2020. We stand for the pledge, please. Jody? Tim, can you take the lead?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And in keeping with our tradition, we have a spiritual leader from our community today, Reverend Dr. Sean B. Murray from the First Congregational Church in Riverhead. Please come up. Reverend.
Greetings. Welcome.
Greetings.
Congratulations to you. And yeah, this is the first time I've seen you in these hallowed places here. So I'm a member of Jim's church, Jim Wooten, who used to sit in one of those chairs for a long time. So.
I told Frank he has to sing.
Good, yeah, and fill in. He used to pray on occasions too.
I don't have that kind of voice.
Good afternoon. I'm the Reverend Dr. Sean Murray, and I'm pastor of First Congregational Church in Riverhead. We're one of the Main Street churches. It's nice to see you, and we take a minute to open our hearts in prayer and praise. Gracious and loving God, we do give you thanks for this day that you have set before us, for the rain that nourishes our planet and your spirit that nourishes us. Holy One, we invoke your name, your very presence. Fall afresh on us, inspire us, and illumine us. Bless our leaders, O God, and help them to guide us all well, to lead the town in the ways that we should go. Bless them with courage and conviction. Dear God, we do pray for peace. Peace in our community, in our schools, in our meeting places, and throughout our nation. And we pray for the hungry and the homeless, and the battered and bereaved. Comfort their hearts, O God, and turn their sadness into the strength of remembrance. Holy One, bless us all in this day, in this time, and guide us in this meeting. In your great name we pray, and together we say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Thank
Reverend.
you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Craig, are you here? We are going to have a moment of silence for Laura Tate. Is Craig here? Where's Craig? Oh, he's going to say a few words.
Good afternoon. Laura joined the Riverhead Fire Marshal's office in, excuse me, 2007. She was also a member of the Flanders Fire Department, where she served as captain of Company 3. Laura kept us grounded. You always knew where you stood with her. She always offered her opinions. Sometimes we didn't want them. But she kept, as I said, she kept us grounded. And if we got out of hand, we got the eye roll, or sometimes we got the, hey, you know. So we're going to miss her very much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to announcements. Catherine, you had an announcement, and anyone else to add afterwards?
Sure. Do you have yours first, or?
No, I don't have it. You got this. You're gonna do yours.
I wanted to announce that the town will be having a public forum in reference to the pattern book process, which we have been working through. We had a public forum in November, and this is the second public forum. It will be held on Thursday, February 13th, beginning, I think it's from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's to be held at the Senior Center in Aquabot. Certainly, I think that most of the people in the community have opinions on our downtown, so this would be a great opportunity for you to let your voice be heard and be part of the solution. There are a lot of wonderful things happening in our downtown, but this process is to help us steer the revitalization of our downtown area. There is also an online survey, which is on the website, right on the Riverhead website, so I certainly urge all residents or stakeholders or people involved with business in downtown Riverhead to do the online survey. And also on the public forum, they would like to see the people who were at the last public forum come again, and of course, we welcome any new people that didn't attend last time, because seriously, the more the merrier. We're happy. We want to hear from everybody. So once again, I hope everyone will participate in the public forum on February 13th and do the online survey, which will be on the website until February 14th.
It's currently on.
Yes.
Yeah. Took it the other day.
Me too.
Okay. All right, any more announcements? No one? All right, moving forward, can we have a first and a second to approve the minutes from January 22nd?
Motion.
Second?
So moved?
Bayron?
Yes?
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
The minutes are approved. You want me to go right into correspondence?
Yes, can you please?
Sure. The town board received a letter from Will Barclay of the New York State Assembly, and that letter is concerning bail and discovery reform laws. Also, the town justices sent a letter to the town board to consider court security at the police and justice court building. I got another letter that actually didn't make it onto the agenda, and this is from Police Benevolent Association, County of Suffolk, and they are writing in support.
I believe
They're
it was
writing-
Nassau, Diane.
Did I say Suffolk?
Yeah, I think it was Nassau.
You are correct, it is
Okay.
County of Nassau. They're writing in support of the application of Long Island Solar to site a solar energy facility in the vicinity of Edwards Avenue in Calverton. Under reports, the building department submitted their January monthly report, $45,524.25. Tax receiver total tax collection to date as of January 29th, $85,670,594.41. The 2018 financial statements with independent auditor's report was turned in. The town historian turned in her 2019 annual report. Town clerk January monthly report, $9,982.33. And that's all I have.
Good. Moving on, there's no public hearings. We'll open up the floor for public comments on the resolutions before us today.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. Resolution 2020-90. If the dates are correct in this resolution, that means the prices are 2 years old. Are they gonna hold the price? And the other question is, should we have gone out to bid again, since the prices are 2 years old?
That's Bill.
Thank
And
you.
about bidding? And
Bill,
about the...
you should, I'm sorry, but you should really answer at the mic.
Yep.
So that people can hear.
We went out for RFP back in 2016 and 17 for the 17 audit. So though I spoke to the partner at the firm, they're holding those prices from that RFP. We don't have time to do an RFP now, so we're taking on, we're rolling those numbers forward and using those numbers for the 2019 audit.
Great, thanks.
Okay, anyone else?
Thank you, Supervisor, board members. My name is Jeffrey Seaman, Southampton, New York, and I just have a few minor comments on Resolution 2020-108, the proposed negative declaration for the solar facility. As a bit of housekeeping, I think there are some Scribner errors that you might wish to address on the fourth whereas. On the second line, the town board, the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. I think you need to strike Planning Board. On the ninth whereas and the 10th, minor typo errors in the word whereas. I do have a question on item 20. Where you speak to the compatibility with the Pine Barrens Compatible Growth Areas land use plan. I'm not sure whether it does or does not comply, if a hardship is or isn't warranted. Is there any clarification on that particular issue?
Is Jeff here?
I could,
Yes,
all of his
Jeff is
comments,
here.
and then Jeff will come
I
up
could,
and
I
add.
Yeah,
could
why don't-
finish
why
up,
don't you
I could
finish
finish
up?
up a few more, thank
Okay.
you. On the tax maps that are identified, sections 137 being, I assume, the Calverton Links property, and 136, the agricultural property off of River Road. I'm a little bit confused because if I read through the application, it looks like part of the solar facility, the panels will be on section 136, the agricultural property, and then sort of, for ease of understanding, sort of weave an extension cord back over to the Calverton Links property. Is that correct? It interconnects the two outputs. What happens after that? There is no description on how that power is going to be moved over to the other side of Edwards, at least within the text of your resolution. And I want to make it clear, I'm not working on this project for anyone other than myself. And I empathize with the applicant because typically a determination of significance is done within the first 30 days that the applicant submits his application. So, you know, I'm not trying to hold them up, I'm just trying to look at this from a technical advisory standpoint so that it doesn't get stagnated or reversed at a later date. And then lastly, and then I'll wait for responses or allow someone else to speak. Under 617, section 7, paragraphs 1 and 2, it does lay out some very specific criteria that the lead agency must meet in order to render an adequate determination of significance. And I'm a little bit concerned, without getting into the weeds of the particular statements within those sections of SECRA, that you might not have adequately addressed the cumulative impacts. And the reason that seems to be significant in this application is that had not only been a very important topic when the planning board looked at S-Power 1, but also the Public Service Commission, albeit a separate agency, is reviewing the 36 megawatt Riverhead Solar 2 project. And SECRA instructs that regardless of a separate agency reviewing a similar project in the same general area, you are obligated to look at the cumulative impacts. And in the case of the Riverhead Solar 2 project, they too, by comments from Public Service Commission, are also obligated to look at cumulative impacts. So if there is a way to bring these two together and address them at some point, I think it would be advantageous to everyone involved because, as I said, I'm not trying to incorporate additional delays in this application, just to make sure that it's clean when you make your determination. Thank you.
Can you
Okay.
please cite section 617.7, paragraphs 1 and 2 of the secret law?
Can I what?
Cite, so that we know what you're talking about when you say
Sure.
the cumulative impact.
So 617, section 7.1 is a description on the determination of significance. That's where you are now, okay? So if you look at paragraph 1, if there's a substantial change in the use or intensity of use, and I emphasize intensity because this requires a special permit, and the intensity of this particular land use is identified in your special permit criteria. But the intensity of the use of land, including agricultural, so you sort of fall into the threshold because of the one parcel being agricultural. Now, I understand it's not in the APZ, I understand it's not in any ag-protected specific district, but it does not specify in secret that it needs to be. When you have changes, and this is in item 9, if there are changes in 2 or more elements of the environment, no one of which has a significant impact on the environment, but when considered together may result in substantial adverse impact on the environment, or 2 or more related actions, actions being projects, decisions, 2 or more related actions funded or approved by an agency, it's any agency, none of which has or would have a significant impact on the environment, but when considered cumulatively would meet 1 or more of the criteria in this subdivision. And then in paragraph 2, it gives you a little bit more insight as to how you are to evaluate that with respect to long and short-term plans and the likelihood that these projects that are foreseeable or likely may occur. They're not asking you to just fantasize about anything that could happen, but since there are applications that are in motion here, I would just hope you will consider for your own responsibilities here to evaluate that. Thank you.
And
Thank
then-
you.
And then paragraph 2, was that also, you said paragraphs 1 and 2. So you're saying the cumulative impacts and substantial change in the use or the intensity, including agriculture. Have you seen the letters from Ag and Markets, and then also the staff report about the intensity of use, how the intensity is actually decreasing?
How is the intensity evaluated to be decreasing?
Well, I guess our planner will address that,
Okay,
because
and then,
we've discussed it.
and then, of course, all of these are weighed against your existing conditions, future planning. These aren't isolated incidents. You want to just sort of take a holistic view of this. I do have other comments on another resolution, but let's wait for that and see where we go with some of these responses. Thank you.
And Bob, did you send us all your memo that we were discussing this past Thursday in work session?
It's
Jeff.
Jeff?
Jeff, can you come up and
Circulated
address those questions now before we move on? I think it would be better to do it now, because he brought up quite a few comments. Sorry, George.
You're next, I promise. Who's that, George?
Jefferson Murphy, Building and Planning Department. With regard to the primary issue that Mr. Seaman raised in terms of cumulative impacts, I am very familiar with that term under the SECRA law. Staff did evaluate the proposed development under the cumulative impacts that were raised by the planning board. We did evaluate it, and based upon our review, we do not believe that there is potential adverse environmental impact of this project in of itself or together with any of the other projects that have been built to date. In fact, 2 of the first projects were reviewed by the planning board, were issued negative declarations by the planning board. It was only the third application that received a positive declaration from the planning board. When you take a look at all the cumulative potential environmental impacts that are required to be reviewed under SECRA, such as the other potential uses that are allowed under the industrial zoning classification, you take a look at bus depots, warehousing, truck depots, things of that nature, you find that there's a far greater potential environmental impact than what the proposed solar farm offers. Second, you take a look at all the other potential environmental impacts such as traffic, noise, groundwater quality. You take a look at those based upon what the project is proposing and also in terms of all the other solar farms that have been built to date, and we find that there are no potential adverse quality impacts as a result of any of those together as of all the solar farms to date. We have looked at all of these together. As Mr. Seaman pointed out, you have to look at two or more of them together. We have. Our recommendation is that it does not rise to that level, that there is a potential cumulative adverse impact as a result of this project. There will be a separate GenTie line that will connect this project over to the PSEG substation, just as the other S-Power 1 did. It'll be a separate line. The applicant has already offered that it would be to serve only this project and this project alone. Yes, there will be electrical connection connecting the properties to the west to the east that will eventually connect to the GenTie line over to the PSEG substation. And lastly, with regard to the Pine Barrens Commission, what Mr. Seaman is referring to is a hardship permit application. That is a process that if you exceed the allowable clearing, you have to go to the Pine Barrens Commission for that review process. And then that is up to the commission to decide that. So if they are required to, they will certainly have to undergo that before any approvals by this body.
But there isn't any tree clearing proposed, is that correct?
Yes, less than 10 acres.
Thank you.
And those are all not native trees, they're existing ornamental trees around the existing clubhouse. Thank you.
Okay, George?
Good afternoon. My name is George Bartnick. I'm the treasurer of the Greater Calverton Civic Association, a former town board member, former Conservation Advisory Council member for almost 20 years, accredited science teacher, taught in Riverhead. And I'm speaking on my behalf of, as a Calverton resident for more than 30 years and Riverhead resident of 70 years. I was going to say that the significance of that until the gentleman in the middle of the row here walked in. I might have been the only person in the audience who saw Engine 39 actually coming through Riverhead. I don't know, Pete, did you ever see Engine 39?
You're a lot older than
Anyway, the Calverton community has become the commercial solar mecca of Long Island. And today's resolution, 2020-108, to move a secret negative declaration drives the Calverton area potentially towards a combined 600+ acres of commercial solar panels. I agree and support the goals of renewable energy, but question how prepared the town board is to address the long-term impacts of concentrating all of this use in Calverton. The SECRA process is intended to include public participation. However, neither the applicant or the town board has provided the residents of Calverton advance notice of this resolution or explained to the community the potential for additional commercial solar installations. Shouldn't the town board or the planning board be concerned about and address the cumulative impacts of this concentration of commercial solar installations? First, there was S-Power with a 20 megawatt project, and then the S-Power 2 36 megawatt installation, and now the proposed NextEra 22.9 proposal. Where is the planning study that shows a financial or environmental benefit to the 11933 zip code area? Issuing a negative declaration of significance denies Calverton residents the opportunity for input for long-term planning as well as potential environmental impacts. The Riverhead Town Board, as lead agency, should be responsible to the residents of Calverton for a comprehensive review of potential impacts of all future commercial solar installations, issuing a positive declaration for NextEra, and mandating a cumulative environmental impact study would allow the participation of Calverton residents in the process. How can you as a lead agency assure that the residents of Calverton that there will be no adverse environmental impacts without such a thorough study. Please consider tabling Resolution 2020-108 until Calverton residents have had ample time to schedule a public presentation of the past and proposed development of commercial solar installations in the Calverton area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Takri Turchin. I am the president of the Greater Calverton Civic Association. I am here today to do two things. One is to read into the record a letter from Sharon Dunnigan, a resident of Calverton, and the other is, as the president of the Civic, I can't quite speak for the Civic on this topic because no one's addressed our body regarding this issue. No, NextEra has not reached out and asked to have a meeting with our Civic. So I can't speak for the Civic on that, but I can read this letter into the record. And I'd like to begin by saying a quote from somebody. It's very brief, and what I'm going to read is only a page long, so this should be a brief presentation. So the best way to preserve democracy is to take part in it. That's what I'm doing here today, and that quote is from Matt Santos, the TV character from The West Wing. I learned about it last year, and it seems to be fitting, so I'm bringing it forward again today, and I'm very glad to be able to participate today at this 2 o'clock meeting. They're very difficult to make for folks who are not, who do not have open non-working hours during the day. The letter from Sharon Dunnigan reads as follows. It was dated February 4th. She happened to write it at 2 o'clock in the morning because this is how important it is to her. She found out about it and felt she had to write. Dear Ms. Aguiar and Town of Riverhead Council members, as a concerned resident of Calverton and a member of the Calverton Civic Association in the zip code of 11933, I became aware of a resolution before the Town of Riverhead Board. It is Resolution 2020-108. I understand this vote is to decide if an environmental impact study will be required or not for the development of a solar farm that encompasses 197 acres, including the Calverton Links property, 82 acres. This project is among many solar projects that are currently either operational or under review by the Town of Riverhead for the 11933 zip code. I understand the state of New York's push for renewable energy, but I believe this project has not been carefully reviewed for environmental impact or the WSR permit, as I believe this project will impact. Without a proper environmental review, how do we know our community and its resident wildlife will not be impacted without this important requirement? What mitigation will this large company provide for damage to our wildlife and watershed? Our community has been inundated with requests for solar farms by large companies that are posed to make huge profits from the use of this land. Shouldn't we require all of these applicants to proceed in a manner to protect our valuable resources and the look of our communities? Wouldn't a negative declaration, meaning no negative environmental impact, set a precedent whereby the next applicant could point and say, well, NextEra got off without it, so should I? Calverton has a disproportionate number of acres dedicated to solar farms. Let me repeat that. Calverton has a disproportionate number of acres dedicated to solar farms, and they do not enhance our community in any way. They are not adding to our property values. In fact, I believe they are decreasing the values. They don't bring jobs. They utilize our farmland in order to send power to the energy bubble on the South Fork. Are we just footing the environmental bill? I understand Southampton Town has zoning outlawing solar installations because they don't want them in their backyard. We currently have over 450 acres of valuable farmland dedicated to solar facilities today. If we add this NextEra development, it will bring the total to 650 plus acres. What other areas are under consideration for solar development? Why are we bearing the bulk when we get no benefit? We don't have a reduced power bill or any funds provided to offset the use of our farmland and our agricultural community. What is the next huge solar development hiding around the corner? Is it because our zip code has a less advantaged population? Is there an environmental justice analysis to determine if our community is now becoming a dumping ground for this development because our population is not mobilized? Our working class community cannot attend a 2 p.m. board meeting to object to the proceeding of moving forward without this all-important environmental study. I request the resolution be tabled, that Nextera make a presentation to our community civic and explain their process and plans for the development of valuable property. I understand the planning board has requested a moratorium on solar development, and I would agree that we need to make sure these projects are right and they benefit our community. Regards, Sharon Dunnigan. As I said, I can't speak for the civic because there hasn't been any presentation, but I do echo her remarks as a concerned Calverton resident. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Talkway? Yes. Would you forward me a copy of the letter?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
It
It
was
was emailed, she wrote it 2 o'clock in the morning and she
We got
emailed it then. It
You
may
got
not
it?
have hit,
Yeah.
but I will check with you on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The board, all the board got it.
Okay.
I'll forward it to you right now,
Thank you.
because I know how to do that.
How you doing? My name's Ed Graham. I'm a concerned citizen resident of the area, and I've been looking at this issue for quite a long time, and I've done quite a bit of research, but I'd like to just address a few things about cumulative effects, okay? I've been a witness to the cumulative effects of what you've done with the solar farms to this day. You've had solar farms across the street on Edwards Avenue. You had solar farms built north of the park, and all the solar farms require mandatory fencing. So basically, you're fencing in these solar farms, but you're fencing out the animals. So the animals have had to migrate to areas where there's no fencing. So where are they coming? They're coming to the park. We've had more animals, more birds, more everything accumulating at the park right now than ever before. So the fact that you don't need to do a SECRA review of the new layout of the animals, the ecosystems that have been built since fencing off the other solar farm, since fencing off the other properties, is kind of ridiculous. Okay, I mean, herds of deer, rabbits, groundhogs, they've all made their way over to the park. You're gonna be killing millions of animals just by bulldozing, destroying that whole property. And for what? It says here, some sites aren't suitable for solar. Okay, we've spoken to thousands, I found this article, we've spoken to thousands of individuals about community solar. And many have expressed concerns that solar installations could take useful land out of commission or cause harm to the environment. They point out solar farms that are planned on active farmland, nature reserves, or in land that is home to sensitive ecosystems. It's just wrong. It's not environmentally friendly to cut a forest or 10 acres of ornamental trees to make room for solar. You're taking a property that has been inviting thousands and tens of thousands of people into the Riverhead and Calverton community. That's what the master plan originally was for Edwards Avenue. It was supposed to bring jobs. That's the whole purpose. It was supposed to bring jobs. How many jobs does a solar farm, how many employees does it have? Most findings I find, 2 employees. You know what they're responsible for? Cleaning the solar panels once or twice every year. It's so ridiculous. These employees at the sports park, there's hundreds. They hire young kids for the event plannings, for all the events. They utilize all Wine Country Deli, Roadhouse Pizza, Snowflake Ice Cream. So many businesses benefit from the people that are brought in by that park. You know, it's just not, it may impact the local in negative ways. To construct a solar farm, numerous panels must be installed. This alters the landscape in practical aesthetic ways. The land can no longer be used for anything but power generation. The reflective panels may not be personally attractive to some people. The panels, once installed, can also alter local habitats, affect wildlife in negative ways. It's not the right place, you know? It's not the right place for, you know, I'm a big believer in property owner rights. I mean, I believe that a property owner should be able to do whatever they want with a property as long as it doesn't endanger the neighbors or the community. If it has an economic effect, you're wiping out an entire economy that's based at that park and replacing it with nothing. Where's the community benefits agreement package? Where is that? What do these people benefit from putting solar farms on property that can be used for their kids to come and enjoy, for them to do their walks, their bikes, you know, like come play paintball, play mini golf, play disc golf, come for events, festivals. There's so many more uses and practicalities for that property than to put solar farms, which absolutely do not benefit any of these people. You're not gonna see a financial benefit in your electric bill whatsoever. That's a fact. So you're allowing, it's pretty simple. You know, the only acceptable exception to the absolute property owner's rights, okay, is protecting people and property is one of the fundamental duties of all levels of government. One of the most effective ways that local governments protect people and property is through the permitting process. Here, local officials should reduce the likelihood that the development or use of property will harm other people or property. Communities should be aware that if a governing body approves a project or activity that causes damage to other properties, the affected property owners can sue the permitting authority, claiming that the agency or board was negligent in its duties when it permitted the action that caused the damage. So you guys could all be sued. If something, God forbid, happens, and from that, a fire, you're all held liable. You're allowing this permitting process to go through without even secret, a public
Mr. Graham,
hearing.
can you address us, not the crowd?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you. It's okay.
But there's no public hearings. Has anybody opposed Jeff and the other one, Greg? Has anybody even posed an opposing view to any one of their views? Has there been like any kind of debate? This is a big deal. This is 650 acres in total of solar farms in an area that really was zoned for business, to create jobs. It's so, you know, I mean, I just don't understand where that goes, you know? Like, I mean, they say there's
Mr. Grant, we have a lot of people in this room
Okay.
that want to speak, so we'll give you one more minute.
Well, what I'll do is I'll just leave that for hopefully a public hearing. You know, that way this can be discussed in much greater detail. I mean, this is just kind of like an outline, but give these people a chance to speak up. I mean, people in New York City aren't here at this time that have properties out here that they spend their summers at. I'm sure they would like to have a say in this. You know, you're putting solar farms that are decreasing the value of their properties because when they bought their property, they were hoping to see landscapes like this, you know? And now you're gonna put solar farms all over here. You think people want to come out here as a quality of life and see solar farms everywhere? It's just not, you know, think about them. Think about your constituents and how they would feel about just placing solar farms on viable properties, not wastelands where there was supposed to be. They were supposed to be on grounds and useless properties, landfills. They weren't supposed to be on recreational areas. So take that into consideration when you're making your resolutions, and hopefully you take everybody's feelings in mind.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
And just to clarify, solar farms are not permitted on farmland, as you see in that picture, so that we're not scaring the public. Solar farms are only permitted on industrially zoned properties.
But it's farmland.
It's
farmed-
it's
it can be
industrially
turned
zoned.
easily
And you know what? Mr. Bayrock couldn't have said it better last week or a couple weeks ago when he said, once you put a foundation in, you're never getting that farmland back.
This is a temporary use. On the state level, in a notice of intent, they actually write to the state commissioner of ag and markets that after this use is finished and terminated, it will or can be reverted back to farmland.
My concern with the farmland issue is that.
I'd like to address that if I could.
Well, I just wanna say one thing. If solar is paying, you know, a much higher rate for the farmland, then what happens when solar leaves and the farmers want to, lease it, or, you know, they're not gonna be able to afford that high rate that was established there, so economically, that's a concern for me as far as farming's concerned and the farmers.
And it's good that you brought that up, because it does change the tax structure for agricultural lands once it's rezoned to commercial, industrial, solar. The taxes change completely. And then it's a big process to try to turn that commercial thing back into agricultural land.
Called an 8-year commitment. It happens very easily.
You know, there's pretty much a lot of studies done on it where it actually is very difficult to make it happen, because there's so many other tax incentives and other things that are applied to that. So, I mean, that's why a public hearing.
The community benefits from the higher tax rate. The community benefits from it being used at a higher tax rate.
That is why a public hearing is necessary, so you can debate all of this in the open forum. Because there's no time for me to debate all of this, but in an open forum where you have plenty of time, it's debatable. And
Mr. Graham, thank you, that's
All right.
noted.
And the purpose of the meeting is to determine whether or not it's a negative or a positive declaration under secret.
And I recommend
There will,
positive.
there will be a public hearing on the special permit application where everything that you discussed today and everything that the civic community is concerned about would be discussed at the special permit public hearing.
Okay, state your name and your hamlet, please.
Good afternoon. Tim McCarthy, Local 25, based out of Hop New York.
Okay.
I'm here speaking on behalf of our members, Nassau Suffolk County electricians, from the Cross Island Parkway line all the way to the tips of both forks, or both tips of the fork. I'm speaking in favor of the project, in favor of the negative deck. There's a couple things that have been stated today that are anecdotal at best and misleading at worst. So this is not a surprise. This project, it hasn't been a surprise. This project has been in the political sphere for, I think, almost 2 years now. This property was chosen, and I don't know if it's actually purchased or if there's an agreement to be purchased, but this project is no surprise to anybody. In fact, one of the reasons why we're here is to continue that open public forum, right? We're here, we're gonna speak our mind on this. But as far as all the negative things that have been spoken about this project, I just want to make a couple things clear. Any kind of environmental impact on this project is not going to change from the last solar project that was done. These sites are basically cut and paste at this point. There's no secrets, there's no crazy innovation that's making this some kind of a sinister act. I can tell you a couple things that you will not get if you install a solar array in this. You will not get traffic, you will not get sewage, you will not have loud neighbors. It is a completely silent facility. You will not be adding nitrates to the water. That's just to name a few. And obviously, if a community went there, you would be, like a new neighborhood. You're talking about now the responsibility on the municipality to make sure that the roads are plowed, that the street lights are lit, and the whole 9 yards. So this is the least burdenous proposal for this land. Now, we talked about economic impact. The economic impact of this job is a net positive for just about everybody around. It's going to add a tremendous tax base to the town of Riverhead, of which it's not, what's there now, it's not remotely going to generate what this facility is going to generate. So it's a big boost. And as far as how many jobs are going to be involved, yes, once the solar farm is built, there are not many people that sit there and watch it. It's a pretty self-sustaining facility. There will be maintenance, more than two, a couple times a year, that's for sure. But I could tell you this, on a project of this size, there's going to be about 300 construction workers working on here for about a year. And if you want to talk about the economic boom for the local delis and the local stores nearby, I can weigh that probably a lot more heavy than the handful of people shooting paintballs and playing disc golf over there right now. So as far as the economic impact of this, it is absolutely a net positive for the area. So I strongly encourage the town to see this through, support the project, get the negative deck for it. On behalf of my members, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy. Anyone else?
Yes, how you doing? My
Good
name is John
afternoon.
Harrison. I'm a Riverhead resident. And I've been slowly getting informed locally by other businesses that this is going on. And I'm just a local electrician by chance, and I don't understand what's going on. Riverhead doesn't have a power problem. Riverhead doesn't need solar panels. East Long Island might need solar panels. Riverhead doesn't. Why do they have to be built in Riverhead? There are tons of acres of land from here to Montauk. Not to mention the oceans of parking lots that are just in Riverhead that could be utilized. It's convenient because it's close. It's convenient because it will make more money. What do we do if we have a hurricane blow through and turn over half of those panels, shattering them all? Who's cleaning that up? I just don't understand. Nobody seems to be looking at the bigger picture. Yes, there are people that will benefit. I don't think Calverton's going to benefit, and Riverhead as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next?
Thank you again, and just to perhaps make one final comment on this facility. And the reason I asked what happens after the Gentile line reaches the property boundary, there was no real description that I can see in the resolution regarding how it's going to cross over, by easement, by what. And I don't believe that, the applicant is purchasing Edwards Avenue. It's a town road. And so I think that description really should have been rounded out a little bit more, because there may be a financial benefit or no financial benefit to the community. And on that topic, when the planning board reviewed the first S-Power 1 project, because of their concern of the potential for additional growth generated by an easement connecting the west to the east side and over to the substation, that is really why they put a covenant on that easement that it could only be used for that one single project. That wasn't to strangle all other development projects that might propose solar. It was so they could have an opportunity to take a step back and not have multiple projects and multiple crossings without further study. And their intent was, through the use of the environmental impact statement process, to build upon that information. That was their deliberation. By going this way, you're sort of going around their intent, and it was really just so that everybody could step back, and I guess you heard it from me and others, to take a wider view of the potential cumulative impacts. So, I have another topic, and I'll preface it by saying that I'm in somewhat of an undesirable, if not uncomfortable position, because for years I have addressed this board in a very professional manner, typically restricted to technical aspects of the topic, which usually is environmental sciences. But again, my name is Jeffrey Seaman. I live in Southampton. I'm a National Board Certified Environmental Professional, and I have been for 27 years. And I'm currently under contract with the town of Riverhead on multiple professional service agreements. I'm here to comment on Resolution 2020-104, whereby the Planning Board seeks to engage my services under a professional service agreement for the Planning Board's secret review of a proposed construction and demolition recycling facility known as Breezy Hill. On January 30th, 2020, the Town Board conducted a public meeting for the Town of Riverhead. During the Town Board's official deliberations of Resolution 2020-104, Councilwoman Giglio asked what environmental consultant was requested by the Planning Board, and the response was Jeffrey Seaman. The Councilwoman Giglio then made the following, what I interpret as slanderous statement, and I quote, "I question his integrity," close quote. And she further confirmed her statement to assure that there was no misunderstanding. Integrity, as we understand it, is, quote, "the quality of being honest and being incorruptible," or simply stated, doing the right thing when others aren't watching. Her statement, which is now recorded on the town website, was made in my absence and based on her interpretation of my professional work, performed for a secret analysis needed for a determination of significance on two completely different applications. Neither of these was relevant to the resolution in question, except maybe for an opportunity to attack my professional reputation. For clarity, the Councilwoman was referring to a secret review I conducted on a recreational facility on or about 83 acres known as Long Island Sports Park, and the contrasting secret assessment opinions for a major commercial solar facility on approximately 200 acres. The first was an official secret review for the town, and the second was by way of my January 4th, 2020 correspondence to the town, acting as lead agency for the NextEra project. The Councilwoman, by means of her misunderstanding of the secret procedures and technical review requirements, made additional statements as best as I can put them together, that she felt I made contradictory environmental opinions involving the same piece of property but on two entirely different projects that have no similarities. The sports park is a recreational complex where people shoot paintballs, play in the mud, look at Christmas light shows, and therefore, with no large or moderate impacts, I rendered a recommendation, which was adopted, for a negative declaration of significance. In contrast, the NextEra project, which you've heard much about tonight, required a special permit and may have long-term impacts based on its length of time, over 20 years, and required a WSRR Part 666 permit from New York State DEC. Now, NextEra requires the demolition of on-site structures, including two buildings where fertilizers and pesticides, gas and diesel fuel was routinely stored and mixed during the site's nearly 30-year use as a golf course. With prior use, it is a professional environmentalist's opinion to conduct a multimedia investigation of soil, water, which I wish I had some now, pardon me, and air.
Here you go. Give him that.
to investigate whether there is any contaminant release that may occur during the demolition process or regrading. This type of risk assessment protects the environment as well as the workers from exposure, and at a minimum acknowledge that hazards may exist on the property. In the case of Calverton Links, I'm fully aware of these local conditions because I was employed there as their superintendent from 2010 to 2015, and I was the owner's professional environmental consultant from 1995 to 2015. Furthermore, the S-Power 1 project, a 20-megawatt facility on 109 acres, which I did review on behalf of the town, did receive a positive declaration and resulted in an environmental impact statement. The Riverhead Solar 2 project, the 36-megawatt facility in Calverton, under an Article 10 environmental compatibility and public needs review by PSC, and also requires an environmental justice analysis, is within the study area, inclusive of the NextEra site, and that's undergoing a rigorous environmental review by Public Service Commission. And as I had mentioned earlier, pursuant to Part 617, paragraphs 1 and 2, a positive declaration is, by my professional interpretation, warranted for NextEra. These sections of SEQR require the lead agency review these cumulative impacts. And since the sports park and all of these solar projects are not even remotely similar under SEQR, I have made no contradictions in my professional analyses, thus making the reasoning of the councilwoman's defamatory remarks unsupported really by fact or in any official record, and I think she has failed to provide adequate due diligence prior to making that statement. A reasonable person would regard my recommendation to POSDEC, NextEra, anything but a contradiction. And when all these solar projects are compared to a recreational facility, I challenge you to list their similarities under any type of environmental impact assessment. Now, if we apply Councilwoman Giglio's logic and reasoning to the lead agency, as she did to me, and my secret determination, then a negative declaration decision is inconsistent and contradictory. And again, applying the Councilwoman's method of ethical assessment, what would that say about the lead agency's integrity? Now, I don't recognize Ms. Giglio as an expert in environmental science, secret reviews, or an authority in matters involving an environmental expert's professional integrity, ethical conduct, or professional standards of practice. But during the January 30th, 2020 deliberations on Resolution 2020-104, she provided no evidence to identify how my integrity was compromised or should even come into question. She introduced a speculative slur during official deliberations in an effort to defame my character, damage my professional reputation, and perhaps to garner support for other board members to vote against the planning board's request to engage my professional services. Her statements remain on the town website, making these available to any person connected to the World Wide Web. Her damage to my reputation is nearly impossible to calculate, and I will hold her accountable for her actions. Lastly, my attorneys and I are examining the Councilwoman's official statement for its slanderous content and for potential tortious interference with my contractual relationship with the town and other clients I have in New York State. Thank you.
I do want to respond because I am not an environmental expert. And the planning board, Jefferson Murphy, who is an environmentalist, Greg Berman, who reviews these reports on a regular basis, appeared before the town board at a public work session weeks before, stating that you issued a negative declaration for Long Island Sports Park and a positive declaration for NextEra. So it's the same piece of property that you issued a negative declaration for previously, and now you were issuing a positive declaration. So I recited what they had said at the public work session, and that one was a negative declaration and one was a positive declaration, and how you came to those conclusions.
I watched both the January 9th work session and the January 30th. In no statements from either of my colleagues did they ever mention a doubt in my integrity. These are two completely different actions. One is a recreational facility. The second is an industrialized solar generating facility. Doesn't matter that they're on the same piece of property. It is the use of the property, the actual action of the construction of these two very dissimilar projects, and the other one actually encompassed 200 acres. So it's not whether or not you interpreted my environmental reviews because it was on a particular tax map. It is what is going to be done on that tax map that generates the environmental impacts. And in no case was my judgment flawed, and if you can prove it, that's fine, but my integrity, my professional conduct, my professional practice, and again, the damage that you do by making that statement at a public meeting and record it through the internet is horrific. It's horrific. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward, anyone else? State your name and your hamlet, please.
Irving Walston, Northampton, Wildwood. I basically, I'm here with Local 138, proud member of Local 138. Lived in Riverhead for over 30 years, proud about it. Basically, I just want to say I think it's an awesome idea. Basically, Riverhead could be in the forefront of this clean energy epidemic. Basically, there will be a whole lot of jobs. I mean, a lot of jobs for everyone in Riverhead, obviously, that are employed from unions, electric, what have you. Basically, I just think it's an awesome idea, and that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next?
Hello, my name is Michael Conklin. I'm with Elecnor Hawkeye. We're the EPC contractor on the project. And I'd just like to say we're a local contractor on Long Island. We employ Long Island union workers. You've heard from a couple of representatives. We do quality work. We were involved in the S-Power project, and we performed that work with very little impact to the public. But I want to assure the residents of Calverton that the project will be built to our standards and our reputation. And you can look us up. It's Elecnor Hawkeye. You can see our history, what we do, and who we work for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm with representative with Local 138, and I'm in positive.
We just need your name, sir.
Daniel LaGrega.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
I'm here in positive response to this project that's supposed to go on. I worked on all these projects. You're talking about environmental impacts that go on. There's already solar panels that are in all the county offices. Although the electric doesn't go back into the buildings, the counties also has solar projects, so if they want to check on environmental impacts, these have been installed. I know because I personally installed them myself as one of many. So these projects are already underway. If you want to look for an environmental impact, just check with the town, and they're at the Dennison building, they're at railroad stations, they're all over. They're at the sheriff's office in Riverhead here. So again, I'm in positive response. So this is going to create hundreds of jobs to create the project, but afterwards, yeah, there may not be a lot, but it's going to have a positive impact because it's free electricity. So, and it's getting put. It is. Well, it gets. The electric gets put back into the grid, and the reason that they pick these environmental spots is because they are close to the grid. If they put them in any other random spots, to actually bring the transmission of electricity to the plants would be astronomical. So they're not just randomly picked plants. So again, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mendoza.
Ray Guido from Wading River. I'm totally opposed to the solar out here again. Once, everybody, some people are for it, some are against it. It's not green power, first of all. There's no such thing as green energy. And if we continue down the path of keep putting solar panels in, the whole North Fork is going to be solar panels, and you're going to have no residents left. Everybody's going to wind up leaving. I moved here 2 years ago because I saw promise to the town, EPCAL going in, and that's been happening now for years. nothing's happened. You know, it's a matter of when do you put the master plan for the town together, stop everything, put the master plan, and then go to that master plan and figure out what we're gonna do. Town needs to figure out what it wants to be when it grows up. And it's not glass panels.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Actually, I'd like to make a few comments. We have a vote, obviously, we have a vote pending on this. So I'd like to, since we are discussing Nextera at this time, the solar project, I'd like to make my comments right now. I'm not against renewable energy. Obviously, I'm in favor of renewable energy. I'm certainly not against the applicant. Frankly, I feel badly that this has dragged out for such a long amount of time as far as the applicant's concerned. My problem is with the process. I don't think that we should be circumventing the process. I'm concerned that we didn't do the complete study on this, and obviously, as the point has been brought up before, not only is all of the solar in the area going into Riverhead, but the solar is also going into the 11933 zip code in the Calverton areas. So I am, along with everybody else, concerned about the cumulative effects of that. I know that people are bringing up the point that this brings jobs. Obviously, that is a good thing. I couldn't agree more that it does bring construction jobs, and I've been very supportive of the unions in Riverhead. I worked hard to get the apprenticeship program in. But commercial brings jobs too. Commercial doesn't just bring jobs in the construction, commercial will bring jobs later on. Once the facility, the solar facility is finished, there are very few jobs. I think there are only a handful of people that work there. So, so that's, I wanted to make that point. And also, I think we, you know, along with the study, I have some concerns about the easement line, as was stated. You know, there were restrictions put on the earlier easement, and then now we're talking about more easements, and this is a public road, and we're letting a private entity go underneath our road. So I have talked in 2 work sessions. I have concerns about this. I do want to reiterate, it's not about the applicant or things that they have done. It's really about the process, and I think that we need to follow the proper process, and I don't want to set a precedent with this.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll close.
Jeff, do you want to talk about the process, please?
Good afternoon again, Jefferson Murphy. I respectfully would disagree with Councilwoman Kent saying that we're circumventing the process. We are certainly following the secret process. Whether or not you agree that the project should be a positive declaration or issue a negative declaration, that's a decision for this body. That's encompassed and embodied with the secret process. So we're not circumventing the process, we're following the process, and the question is, how does the board as a whole want to proceed with the remainder of the secret process? The one comment I keep hearing over again is that the Calverton is being inundated with the solar farms. That's because that's where most of our industrial zone is located. That's in our adopted comprehensive plan. It's included in our adopted zoning map. That's what the zoning allows in the industrial. So to say that they're being inundated and picked upon, that's where the zoning, industrial zoning is located. The solar farms are not located in the APC zone. It's not located in the residential zone. Those uses are not specifically allowed in industrial zones because you want a separation from the industrial uses from those other uses, from the agriculture and from the residential. So most of the industrial zones in this town are located in that zip code area. Property values, that's been a recent discussion. I asked Mason Haas, one of our town assessors, have property values as a result of the existing solar farms that have been constructed, have you seen a decrease in property values? He says quite the contrary, there has not been a decrease in property values, especially residential property values in that zip code area. Everybody keeps talking about how this is more benign, that the Long Island Sports Park is more benign use. It has negative environmental impacts that this solar farm does not have. I'll give you, for example, the applicant for the solar farm is proposing to have the solar panels no closer than 150 feet away from the wetland boundaries to comply with the town wetland laws. As you know, last year enforcement of the wetlands has been an ongoing issue with Long Island Sports Park because they installed golf targets within the wetlands. So there are effects, both positive and negative, for both applications. The easement, that is an issue that you as the board have to undertake with the applicant if we get to that stage in the application review process, that you have to negotiate that as you did with S Power One, to which there's a financial benefit to the town. What else? Financial impact to the community. The town is currently undergoing the master plan update. That was paid for through a pilot agreement with S Power One. The town got $300,000 for recreation and parks improvements. That was paid for by S Power One. There are going to be similar agreements and discussions going with this applicant. So there is financial benefits back to the community. And then lastly, the thing is, if the applicant is here with their attorney, so if you have any questions of them, they are here to answer them.
Can I just ask you one question about something that Mr. Seaman had said about the gen-tie to the power facility and description of determination as to whether or not that would affect the secret determination being a positive declaration or a negative declaration?
No, it would not.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Welcome back.
Ted Graham back again, all right? I had to listen to some of these people get up here and speak before I have to address this board again and say, look, these people are coming up here with a lot of information that is so debatable, it's ridiculous. I mean, you just had somebody up here say 300 jobs is 300 people is going to be an economic impact to the community, businesses. The Long Island Sports Park brings in tens of thousands of people each year. How is that comparable to 300 workers that only are there for 1 year? This is 30 years. These panels are going to be up there for 30 years. 20 years plus a 5-year extension plus another 5-year extension. That's 30 years. What's the environmental impact of 300 workers versus a property that can employ 100 workers or more a year, plus tens of thousands of visitors to that park that actually go to the park, then they go for ice cream, pizza, dinner, they go shop. You're looking to build up a Main Street? How's solar panels gonna help Main Street Riverhead? There's no way. That, the fact that is an economic impact is ridiculous. The reason why that area was zoned in the master plan for industrial is because they wanted big industrial companies to come with a lot of employees that are employed year-round and maintain the business and economic development of that particular area. Solar farms do not do that. And if it ever got to the point where we had hearings, we wouldn't want to know the personal conflicts of interest amongst people that are involved in this. Because without knowing that, we have no idea what the personal benefits for each individual is by allowing this permitting process to proceed in one direction without any kind of resistance or opposition to it going another way. That's unfair to your constituents. It's unfair to everybody. I could have come up here and spent an hour up here discussing all the environmental impacts. I don't have the time. This was short notice. This was 1 day notice to come here. How could you prepare for something like that? Do your due diligence. Allow people to put their input into this. Don't allow just a bunch of bureaucrats and people that are financially gaining from this to help you determine what impacts 100,000 people in your constituency. So I just have to say, I'm for POSDECing it. Give the people a chance to be heard before you make these kind of big decisions. These are big decisions, and it impacts a lot of people.
Again, my name is John Harrison. I just wanted to say that I didn't hear anybody disparage anybody's work installing this stuff. I'm sure they're all professionals. It's pretty obvious because if you just look at their work, it's obvious. Thing is, though, I don't hear anybody in the community stepping up and backing this program. The only person from Riverhead who actually had anything to say actually works for the installer. So I think maybe some kind of forum where the community can be involved in this decision would be greatly beneficial to everybody. That's all.
Thank you.
This decision is going to be addressed. There seems to be some confusion out there. There is going to be a public hearing on whether the town board should or should not grant a special permit for this project to take place. That's at a later date. Today is just on the secret determination as to whether it's a pos deck or a neg deck. That's all today is, just to make that clear.
Okay.
Certainly, I feel that if we pause deck it, and frankly, if we had pause decked it from the beginning, probably we'd already be done. The fact that individuals have tried to neg deck it has frankly slowed down the whole thing. But if we had pause decked it, and if we do make a decision to pause deck it, I think we would have more documentation and clarification to some of our answers and concerns. What's happened is we've had a couple of work sessions where we've had to ask a lot of questions, and now we have people kind of on the fly asking questions today, whereas I don't know why we didn't just from the start, move towards pause decking it and do the process in the right way. And yes, Calverton does have most of the commercial, but it doesn't have all of the commercial. And the code, I believe it's in the code that solar is to all go into the 11933 zip code, and for that reason, the Calverton residents had every right, to be more informed about this instead of finding out about it a few days before, and maybe have some sort of presentation and some discussion about the solar at their civic. And once again, this isn't about the applicant. I feel badly that it's happened this way. For me, it's all about the process and the way it's all gone down.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
Kathy Church and returning
Again.
for 2 sentences.
Okay.
First is to thank you, Catherine Kent, and also to Tim Hubbard for saying what you just said. I think you preempted what I came up here to say. The statements today, my observation on this topic alone seemed to demonstrate enough public concern to pose the question, could we have a public hearing after Nextera has presented to the Greater Calverton Civic and have them reach out to the Civic? They have not done that. Thank
Okay,
you very much.
That's noted. Anyone else? Okay. There are no, on to resolutions. Diane, can you read the resolutions, please?
Sure. Resolution 79.
Accepts the retirement of a water treatment plant operator to be. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yeah, I want to thank Brian. Brian put in quite a few years with us. He was a great worker for the town, and I wish him all the best in his retirement and his future endeavors.
Giglio.
Yes, and thank him for his service for many years in the town. I think it's 30 plus.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 80.
Ratifies the appointment of the tax cashier. So moved.
Seconded?
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 81.
Read yours.
Oh, yes.
Ratifies the change of status of an employee. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 82.
Amends Resolution 2020-18. So moved.
Second.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 83.
Amends resolution number 2020-7. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 84.
Acknowledges appointment of Deputy Supervisor Devin Higgins. So moved.
Seconded?
So moved?
Bayrod.
Yes.
No, so moved after.
Kent.
Don't worry about it. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 85.
Setting terms and conditions of employment for Town Board Coordinator Carol Scafani. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes, and welcome back.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 86.
Setting terms and conditions of employment for confidential secretary Karen Ochiogrosso. So moved.
Second.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 87.
Terminates a probationary employee. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I just,
Yeah. 87.
I know, I didn't know. I just want to see who we. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 88.
Ratifies the publication of a help wanted advertisement reference attendance at the Suffolk County Police Academy. So moved.
Seconded?
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yeah, I just want to let the community know, anybody who's interested in becoming a part-time police officer for our fine police department, they will be accepting applications coming up with the academy, I believe, starting in the fall. You go 2 nights a week, I believe, to the academy, and you go all day on Saturday. It's all on your own time, but it's a great way if you're looking to get into law enforcement. It's an excellent opportunity to showcase yourself and how you can act as a police officer for future hiring. Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 89.
Authorizes attendance of members of the East End Regional Intervention Court, Drug Court, at the annual training conference. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 90.
Awards RFP for audit services for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Second.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 91.
Awards bid for lubricant items. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 92.
Authorize, publish, and post for bids for one new Ventrac 3400Y compact tractor. So moved.
Seconded?
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 93.
Authorization to extend bid opening date for traffic signal maintenance and emergency repair. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 94.
94.
That's you.
Is that the rejects bids?
Authorizes license agreement?
Oh, I have them, no, I have them all different on mine.
Yeah, I don't have
Authorizes
that either.
license
Yeah.
agreement
I have
for.
what Frank has.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Authorization to reject bids.
I'm gonna do this one, cause I
Yep.
think I have the right one.
Okay.
Authorizes license agreement for fish passage camera at Grangeville Park between Town of Riverhead and Cornell
That's saying
Cooperative
30.
Extension of Suffolk County. So moved.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
It's adopted. You're an old resolution.
That's you.
Which one do we
Yes.
have to?
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Do we have 95 here? What do you
Ah.
guys have?
Yeah, that was, no,
I
this
have
is the
waves
right one.
30-day notice.
That was just thrown in there.
No, we have,
No,
It's not,
Yeah.
he doesn't read it.
It's 95.
should've been pulled. What do we?
95.
I'll just call them off here.
And that one is mine. Waives 30-day notice for application to the State Liquor Authority by Barrow Restaurant Incorporated. So moved.
Seconded.
Bayrock.
Yes, I know the applicant is a creative chef, and I wish him the best. He's a farm-to-table guy, and I hope everybody will go out and eat at his location and enjoy. Yes.
Kent.
Actually, I know them too, and I'm hearing rave reviews about it, so I join Frank in that, and I vote yes.
Hubbard.
I know them also, and I have eaten there, and I have
Oh,
good
well, you got one
experience
up
in
on
eating
us.
in this town, let me tell you, and I highly recommend it, yes.
Giglio.
Yes, and best of luck.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 96.
Sets the fees for the Riverhead Recreation 2020 winter brochure. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 97.
Set salaries for 2020 personnel for the Riverhead,
Oh, it should say Riverhead Recreation
for
Department.
the Riverhead Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 98.
Classifies action pursuant to SECRA as a Type 1 action and refers to involved agencies with a request for lead agency status for a site plan application and special permit known as Chernoff Medical Building / Chernoff Realty LLC, 331 Main Road, Aquabog, New York, SCTM number 0600-85-3-8 and SCTM number 0600-85-3-127. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 99.
Authorizes account adjustment by Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 100.
Assigned fund balance for Justice Court. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 101.
Assign appropriate fund balance in the general fund for an accessible van. So moved.
Vote-
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Ahead of you, huh?
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 102.
Appoints anti-bias task force members and officers. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 103.
Authorizes the filing of an application for New York State assistance from the Household Hazardous Waste State Assistance Program and assigning of the associated state contract under the appropriate laws of New York State. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 104.
Authorization to retain certified environmental professional to assist the planning board in its review of site plan applications submitted by Breezy Hill Group LLC.
Seconded.
So moved.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 105.
Appointment and approval of the fee schedule for the Rayner Group PE and LSP LLC as consulting engineers and land surveyors. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 106.
Authorizes the creation of the Town of Riverhead and Riverhead Central School District Task Force. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I would just like to talk about this 1 minute. I think it's always a good idea when when the town and the school district can work together. We work together on several things, and just wanted to mention that just in the past few weeks, the town got involved in helping the school district advocate for more state aid. Riverhead has notoriously not received their fair share of state aid for their schools. And Yvette and Frank came, and Jody and all of us attended and joined in the discussion. It's always better when we're unified, and this is a situation where we need to be unified and we need to be relentless in our quest to get more state aid for Riverhead schools. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 107.
Assumes lead agency status for purposes of SECRA review, issues negative declaration pursuant to SECRA, and grants site plan approval for the site plan application of 307 East Main Street, 307 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600, Section 129, Block 4, Lot 2. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 108.
assumes lead agency and issues negative declaration pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617, SECRA, for the special permit and site plan application of Calverton Solar Energy Center, Nextera, 149 Edwards Avenue and River Road, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-137-1-2.1 and 600-136-1-2. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Before you vote, just one thing that Mr. Seaman brought forth is on the second page, the first whereas, in the second sentence, there's the words planning board. Those should be those two words, planning board, should be deleted. So it should say by town board resolution number 2019-425 dated May 22nd, 2019, the town board of the town of Riverhead, classified.
Okay.
And then you also mentioned the 9th and 10th whereas?
Yes.
No.
Diane, you'll make those adjustments?
Yeah, Bob and I will talk after.
Okay, good.
Do you want to
Okay.
mention those?
Okay.
2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5,
I'll have to look
6,
at
7,
that.
8, 9.
Because I'm not seeing it either. Okay, we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Bayrod.
Vote, please.
Yes, thank you to Greg and to Jefferson for your thorough work. You know, I think you did a great job, and I vote yes.
Kent.
And for the stated reasons, I vote no.
Hubbard.
With this particular situation, I've made my thoughts known to the public. I am against solar in Calverton. We have enough there. It's time for other towns to take up their share. But in terms of whether this deserves a negative deck or a positive deck, and talking to my planning and other members of the town of Riverhead, I feel comfortable in stating that I'm going to vote yes for a negative declaration in this project. Not meaning that I support it, but meaning that I think the negative deck answered all the questions that we needed to be answered, that had to be answered, and a positive deck, I think, would have come up with the same result, just taking more time.
Giglio.
And this has been a topic of discussion since October, where we've been talking about this. I think we've had 3 public discussions, once where we had called for a meeting. There were concerns. We asked the applicant to come in and address all of the concerns, which they did. Our planning staff has told us time and time again that this should be a negative declaration under SECRA. And based on their professional environmental expertise, which I rely on, I will vote yes.
Aguirre.
I'm going to vote no, based on the fact that we should assess 130,000 panels on Edwards Avenue, and the purpose of SECRA is to ensure that the environment stays safe in case of a hurricane, a fire, and I am going to vote no.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 109.
Reappoints member and chairman of the Town of Riverhead Architectural Review Board. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, she does a great job, both of them, Roy and Kelly.
Giglio.
Yeah, they really do a great job. Pleasure to work with, yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 110.
Reappoints member, chairman, and vice chairman to the Riverhead Planning Board. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Yeah, and I'd like to call for discussion on this for a minute. This is not in reference to these particular members in any way. I did mention at the work session the other day, and I'm gonna reiterate that I think that our paid boards, there are 3 paid boards, there's the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, and the Town Board, and I think that paid boards should have term limits. The Town Board has term limits, and I feel that the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals should have term limits. I also think for the Planning Board and the ZBA, for the Town Boards, that we should seek members who have a background that is complementary to the work that they need to do. The Zoning Board and the ZBA and the Planning actually make hardcore determinations on the blueprint of our town. And I'm just going to give a couple of examples of what I mean by that. Stan Carey, who is the chair of the Planning Board, actually has a unique level of expertise with regards to water supply, water infrastructure, and water treatment. So that would be an example of someone who's on one of our boards who does have a level of expertise that is complementary to the work. And then as far as the ZBA, we have Leroy Barnes, who actually spent decades studying and implementing our code. So he knows firsthand about the effects of variance relief. So I'm looking for those two things. I'm going to be bringing it up. Hopefully we can get that on a work session agenda.
We are.
And talk at some point about having term limits on those boards and about bringing people with that expertise. But we don't have anything like that in place at this time.
Okay, you ready for the vote? I think we are. Bayron?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 111.
Pays the bills, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Bayron?
Yes.
Kent?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Giglio?
Yes.
Aguirre?
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna open up for comments from the public.
John McAuliffe from Rolling Woods in Riverhead, property owner there for 26 years. I want to, it will not surprise you that I want to talk about EPCAL for a little bit. And I want to bring up an issue that Mr. Hubbard and I have discussed in the past, and I know he regards my views as alarmist. So that being said, I do want to bring in two pieces of information that in a sense fell into my hands as I was doing Google work about the question of whether it is possible that a gambling casino complex is part of the intention of 555 and the Germasian family. That is based partly on the fact that one of their areas of accomplishment of business acumen is gambling, although within their Las Vegas experience there is an unpleasant history of one of their employees being identified during sworn testimony as having been involved in bribery of public officials. But what my concern is about the use of the land. There was a promotional mailing by 555 under the category Native Affairs. It reads, "With a clear understanding of the attachment to the land our first peoples of North America have and their strong desire to create economic wealth for their people, 555 will be offering the following exciting services and opportunities to First Nations in Canada and the Native Tribes of America." One of the examples they give is development of casinos, residential, commercial, and industrial on or off reservation. So it is clearly within their corporate projection at this point that that's one of the things that they will undertake. And I will send this with the URL reference so that members of the board can look directly. A linked matter is that MGM Resorts, which is the owner of the Yonkers racetrack, which has slots, and it's a racetrack that has hundreds of slot machines, and having also lived in Westchester County, I was very aware of that institution and its role. And they are pushing legislation that will allow full-scale casinos downstate. Their initial goal, and they're very upfront of it, their goal is to have the Yonkers facility become a full-spectrum casino. But they use the word plural, a plural word, casinos downstate. That may only be in reference to a facility in Queens, but the map that accompanies their promotion for this legislation includes Jake's 58. And it's the success of Jake's 58 the runaway success and the impact, the disturbing impact to people in that area of Long Island that prompts my concern. What I would simply ask at this point is that the board take this under advisement and that the supervisor formally ask in a letter or in whatever, probably in a letter of some form, to 555 and to the Shinnecock Nation to determine whether they have either in internal discussions or in discussions between themselves any contemplation or planning of putting a casino complex into EPCAL. And if they either decline to answer or answer positively, then I would hope that in the course of the final iteration of the sales agreement, that there should be language which prohibits now and in the future for them as a purchaser and thereafter any use of that land for a casino complex. That would probably have to be by mutual agreement, but.
It does.
In any case.
You can't change a contract unless it's by mutual.
Yeah, well, I don't want to open up the whole argument about the validity historically of that contract, but the point is by mutual agreement, and the question is, I mean, I think there is a fairly strong feeling in the town that we do not want to see a Mohegan Sun kind of operation at EPCAL. And if I am wrong and being alarmist about it, I apologize for taking your time, but these two things have emerged, that both the issue of what's in the 555 corporate plan and the intention of MGM to allow full spectrum casinos downstate, I think it leads to concern.
Thank you for pointing it out, and your comments are noted.
Okay, I will send it to the clerk so that you have the linkages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough.
Anyone else? No. Hearing no one, can I have a first and second to adjourn?
So moved?
Second?
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.